Welcome to the CyberJA podcast, the place where we discuss all things cybersecurity and GRC. I am Richard Perry, your cybersecurity and GRC enthusiast. The aim of this podcast is to provide a meaningful value-added platform via which upcoming cybersecurity professionals like yourself can gain insights from various topics covering cybersecurity and GRC that will enable them to become professionals that the industry demands. Stay tuned for what next on the CyberJA podcast. Today on CyberJA, we are joined by an information security practitioner, Lupe Peterman. Lupe, nice having you on our show today.
Thank you so much, Vijay. I appreciate you having me.
Great, and I definitely look forward to having this conversation. So one of the things I really enjoy is actually listening to the stories behind our life, our journey within life. I mean, all of us do have a story. And one of the misconceptions for many people is that they look on, for example, on our LinkedIn profiles or whichever profiles they might look, and they see all of these various achievements, and they might say, wow, that person is, so outstanding. And this at times affect people in terms of having that imposter syndrome, feeling less inferior, not really understanding what actually led to all those achievements, understanding the story, the challenges that actually led to where an individual is in their particular journey. So can you unpack the journey behind what actually led to you going into information or cybersecurity, or even becoming an information security practitioner?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off in the insurance industry. I was in that industry for many years. And towards the end of my time in that industry, I started feeling very stagnant, not very challenged. And I had actually tried to become the subject matter expert in cyber insurance. I wasn't really getting the support from my leadership. So that prompted me to reevaluate my career. And at that time, I decided that information security was where I wanted to try my luck at. I felt that industry was growing and there was a ton of opportunities. So I wanted to take advantage of that. So I decided to enroll in a master's program for information security and actually graduated from that program this past May. But I was fortunate enough to secure a role in the industry even before completing that program. So I'm very thankful for that. And I've been working as an information assurance analyst for the past year and a half.
Okay, great. Quite interesting. I mean, I've actually spoken to people who have actually been in the arts or within a particular field that has nothing to do with information technology or cybersecurity, but yet still they have actually found that way to actually pivot into these avenues. So can you tell us about that alignment, how it is that you have actually been able to make that transition, that alignment?
Yeah, so the transition for me was actually much easier than I thought it was going to be. Like I mentioned, I was able to break into the industry before I graduated from my master's program. And a lot of it has to do with the networking aspect. I networked a ton, and that really helped give me exposure and propel me. And so I feel fortunate, like I said, that my transition was easier than others that I've seen in the industry. I know that some people have a harder time breaking in, but it really all depends on, the opportunities that are presented to you and being prepared for those opportunities when they do arrive.
Exactly. So, were there, I mean, when you think about what about those challenges that you might have experienced in terms of actually you were not being focused on cybersecurity or IT? What were some of those maybe fundamental things that you had to adapt to or to learn in terms of actually making that level of transition? Because the fact is that people might be listening and might be saying, this seems so easy. You're able to move from this career path into IT, and then you break in and know you're working, you're now an information security practitioner. There must have been a certain amount of, backbone work, as a certain amount of, way that you would have acquired this level of experience to be able to fit into your current job role.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't get me wrong when I say it was easy for me to transition. There was a lot of, like you mentioned, work in the background that was going on for that transition. When I initially decided to go into information security, I had the misconception that I had to learn coding. And so I did take a coding boot camp. I didn't finish the boot camp. It was too much. It was like 30 hours of work a week, plus I had a full-time job, and I have 2 kids, so it wasn't something that I was able to accomplish and complete. But in talking with people in the industry, I started realizing that I didn't need to be an expert in coding. There was many areas in information security that I could go into that didn't require that sort of knowledge. But once I realized that, and realized that I wanted to be in GRC, I started reading a ton on the industry. I started connecting with people in the industry, reaching out to them, asking them for guidance, for resources, so that I can improve myself. So it took a lot of work to get myself prepared for when the opportunity arrived for this role that I'm currently in.
Great. And you have mentioned something very important, and is so often we have misconceptions about cybersecurity, in that we have to be an excellent coder. Not understanding there are so many avenues within cybersecurity, and there are certain skill sets that are actually required depending on the path or the role that you decide to get into. And so often people think about cybersecurity as based on what Hollywood actually portrays about cybersecurity, in terms of someone in a basement in a hoodie typing all fast and coding, not understanding the realities in cybersecurity. So I'm really happy that you actually made mention of that fact. So looking at the various job roles that you have actually gone through so far, how have you been able to what level of skills did you acquire in terms of moving from one role to the next, to be able to, for example, where you're at right now?
Yep. So I've only held one role so far in information security, but in my previous role in insurance, I do feel that a lot of the skills that I gained in that industry helped with the transition, and were transferable skills into information security. A lot of soft skills that people talk about that I consider very important in any career: communication, critical thinking, problem solving skills. All those skills are things that I learned in my previous career and that have helped me tremendously in my current career, and I feel have kind of sped up the process of transitioning.
Great. One of the questions that I normally get people asking me when they're trying to get into cybersecurity, they look at your job function, and they would say, for example, I see where you're actually a SOC analyst, or you're a penetration tester, and they say, oh yes, I want to be X, I want to be Y, not really understanding all the various technicalities or the details that are actually involved in each of these roles. And I've seen where you are, I mean, you have a particular role, for example, in providing information assurance as an information assurance analyst, and you are involved in, helping clients meet customer, regulatory, industry requirements, third-party risk management, all of these things. Can you talk some more about all of these activities that are actually involved let's say someone wanted to do what it is that you're doing now, just to maybe share a regular day-to-day experience of what it is that is involved?
Yep, absolutely. So I do a lot of compliance work and risk management work. So for example, if we have a client that wants to assess their security program to see how they align with HIPAA, for example. They would come to us and we would help them find any gaps in their security program to make sure that they are compliant with that regulation. We do risk management as well. So really day to day depends on what type of engagement we're involved in. But yeah, risk management, if they just want to get a good sense of what their current situation is in terms of their security program, we can help them with that as well. So again, a lot of compliance work and risk management.
Okay, great. So were there any particular, you would say, certifications, or what are your recommendations? Let's say, someone is maybe just, leaving university, or they have not actually gotten that opportunity to maybe go to a university. Are there any means of actually acquiring these particular skills?
Yep, there certainly are ways. I chose to go to school because I felt that I wanted that foundational knowledge, and also I felt like that would give me a leg up. But I think that there's many paths. There's not just one singular path. It really all depends on what you want to do, what you want to focus on. There's a lot of content out there that you can use to get yourself ready and prepare yourself. But not all content is created equal. And so it's really important to sift through all that, free content and see what is actually worth your time. Just because it's free, it doesn't mean that it's good, So again, just kind of going through what is out there and picking and choosing. And it's sometimes you will have to pay for good training. And so it's an investment in your career. That's what I did. I did pay for courses, and I did get some certifications that I feel have helped me and helped expand my knowledge in information security.
That's also great. One of the things I really like you made mention is the fact that you have a myriad of opportunities in terms of resources. There's so many. There's a vast array of abundance of information in terms of free courses, free material that is actually available. But one of the things I've always advised is that though you have the free resources available, it's always good to invest into structured, courses, programs that are actually tailored to give you that particular objective output at the end of the day, versus actually maybe being confused doing a particular, grabbing a particular free course here or there and not really having that direction. So amidst all of this, how it is that you were able to maybe amidst all of this noise, and this is where many people have that confusion. How can I actually zone in on that particular area that I really want to get into?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I mentioned, when I first started in information security, I had no idea what exactly I wanted to do. Like I said, I took that coding camp thinking that that's what I was going to need. But I just through my network, just hearing about people talking about GRC and doing my research, realizing that that's what I wanted to do, that I had the skills that I felt that I could succeed in that specific role. So it's really just, reaching out to others in the industry, like I mentioned. And I got a lot of good advice from people that I reached out to. They told me, check out this course, or, I recommend you getting this certification, things like that. So they kind of helped me hone in on what specifically I wanted to do and where to go get that. And like I said, some of the material that I trained and the courses I took were paid courses because I felt there was value in them. And like I said, I wanted to invest in my career.
Great. One of the things I do recognize that you actually do a lot of interesting, posts on LinkedIn. What's your take in terms of someone who's actually trying to excel in their, career path? And the reason I'm asking this question is that so often you have people who are trying to get into cybersecurity at just about any job role, but their presence is not felt. Their footprint is almost zero to none in terms of what it is that you're doing, but yet still they want to get into all of these organizations or they want to find yourself in the top jobs that are available. What's your take on the value of actually making your presence known?
It's a huge value. I think that for me has helped, being constantly on LinkedIn and posting almost on a daily basis content that I feel is helpful and educational for others. That has helped me a lot. And like I said, reaching out and networking through LinkedIn, I was able to find, my mentors that are currently mentoring me and that have been a huge help. So it's worth the time that you take. I write my posts early in the morning before work or on the weekends. It does take time, right? If you want to create valuable content, but it's worth it to put yourself out there and get that exposure and be seen.
Sure, I totally agree. I mean, I have actually got that opportunity to meet so many, persons that within the industry. I mean, talking about, there's so many. I mean, Ken Underhill. My first time hearing about GRC in particular was actually watching. Tuning into. Jerry. That's Gerald Og. I guess many of us know Jerry, and Ken
Mm-hmm.
actually reach
Yeah,
out to
he's great.
people. I've never met them before. I never actually had a one-on-one, and I actually reached out and I had one-to-one communication with these guys, and I was saying like, man, all of this, community actually exists to help us to grow, to be better professionals within the industry. If we only take that time to reach out, to connect, to build relationships, then a lot of doors, a lot of opportunities can actually be open for us in terms of providing that level of direction. One of the challenges I had as I navigated my career is the fact that I pretty much searched my way through. I never had that level of mentorship, that level of maybe support to maybe take me in a particular path. I actually had to search and to find what works. So mentorship, networking actually plays a very vital role in one career development. As you have rightly said, networking, that's also very important. Now, looking at where you are now, and can you talk to us more about the challenges, some of those challenges that you would have faced and how it is that you were able to overcome some of these, challenges as you pivoted along your career journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge was making that decision of changing careers. Having been in insurance for many years, a lot of people kind of hold back, afraid that they're going to fail. And I think it's about getting over that fear and just going for it, but also having a plan, not going in blindly, and knowing that you're going to have to put in the work. It's not going to be an overnight transition. It's going to require a lot of sacrifice and time, a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of dedication, but it's definitely possible. For me, I guess the challenges that I faced were the lack of time, finding the time to do everything that I wanted to do and learn everything that I wanted to learn. My master's program was pretty intense, and so it was a 2.5 years of just having no life essentially. But it's a sacrifice that I was willing to make because I knew that this is where I wanted to be in. It was well worth the time.
I totally understood. Thinking about it, I remember at the start of COVID, when everyone started to work remotely, with all these various platforms and courses and training, it so happened that at the start of COVID, I actually lost my job. And I was pretty much at a point where I was saying to myself, where do I go? What do I start studying? And I deep dive into so many different avenues, so many platforms, learning so many things about cybersecurity, GRC. So I totally understand. At times we reach that point where you feel so confused, burnt out in terms of actually moving forward in your career journey. And that is one of the challenges that many people have actually shared with me in terms of that burnout, applying for so many jobs, not getting that positive feedback. So in light of all of this, that negative feeling, that level of am I worth enough? Am I doing enough? What's that maybe advice from your experience that you would want to maybe share with someone to say there is hope, as they would say along the way?
Yeah, it's definitely there is hope. And like I said, you have to be willing to put in the work. That's primarily, what's going to get you to where you want to be and help you break in. You have to network as much as you possibly can. That's fundamental, I think, in any career if you want to get ahead. A lot of the times people say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think there's truth to that, so you want to make sure that you know the right people and engage and interact and create those relationships, because they're going to come in handy at some point in your career.
Sure, definitely. I totally agree with you on that. Just one last question before we actually, uh, conclude this awesome conversation. What's that possibly one last advice maybe that you would have received possibly within your journey that you maybe want to share with someone? That's that last, advice.
Yeah, I would say if rejection is something that you're going to have to go through, and you're just going to have to, suck it up and keep going and trying and putting in the work and the time, and it will happen. Like I said, it's about being prepared for when the opportunity comes knocking. You want to have that preparation, because you never know when you're going to get that opportunity. You just got to keep putting in the work, and it's going to happen.
Great. That's a very awesome note for us to end this amazing conversation on. So, Lupe, it was my pleasure having you on our show today, and I definitely look forward to future conversations.
Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate you having me.
Great. It was my pleasure as well. So, everyone, stay tuned, stay connected for future recordings on the CyberJA show with me, your host, Richard Perry.